Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX News Headlines, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. All right, let's see what's going on around the world. The Gateway Pundit. Homeless man arrested for assaulting Gavin Newsom during his visit to downtown Oakland. All right. Um, Georgia Stacey Abrams receives a position on a Crooked John Podesta Center for American Progress. Then she got involved in Georgia's 2020 election. That makes a lot of sense. That no wonder she was running around the country and talking about the election and stuff. Let's see what it says. Stacey Abrams has ties to the highest tier of the Democratic machine in the United States, John Podesta and his Center for American Progress, which he founded. The Center for American Progress is a 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit nonpartisan. I can't believe they call themselves nonpartisan. When he was he worked for Hillary Clinton and helped run her 2016 campaign with a whopping 48 million in gross receipts for 2019. The entity and the hundreds like it are absolutely not nonpartisan, like I said. But no one is willing to point this out and address it. The IRS is the entity that provides for this classification and does nothing. The Republican Party does nothing like the nothing they do for anything else that is illegitimate. Republicans are like ostriches hiding their heads in the sand. Don't see anything here. I know it's only like probably a handful of Republicans that actually do anything. Like these guys, like I keep saying, the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. At least the Democrats tell you where they stand. The Republicans pretend to be conservative, pretend to be libertarian, pretend to be for the small government and all these other stuff that's on the platform, but they're the exact opposite. They're just Democrats with an R next to their name, but it that's why I don't support them at all. It's only like a handful of Republicans that are decent, and Democrats I can't think of not one. The one that was decent, Tulsi Gabbard. You see what they did with her? She's gone. She's no longer there. I think she would have been a wonderful president, but it's only a few. It's some things in her policy that I didn't agree with, but she's definitely found a bunch. Me and her definitely meet somewhere on the middle ground on some issues. We know enough by now to realize that when a powerful, well-funded Democratic nonprofit like John Podesta funded outfit uses the word progressive, they really mean socialist, and that's true. How did this obvious far left progressive entity evolve? It started back in 2002. Investigative journalist Robert Dreyfuss wrote in March 2004 edition of The Nation the idea for the center cap. And cap is another word for line too. You know, it's in the African American vernacular. So I think by them having CAP there as their abbreviation, that works really well for this company. But CAP began with discussions in 2002 between Morton Halperin and George Soros. Of course, George Soros fund all these groups. The billionaire investor Halperin, who heads the office of Soros Open Society Institute, yeah, they definitely want to open. They the ones pushing for open borders too. Open Societies Institute brought former Clinton Chief of Staff John Podesta into the discussion, and beginning in late 2002, Halperin and Podesta circulated a series of papers to funders. The Capital Research Center reports that Podesta eagerly took on the project of creating a new laboratory for liberalism. Yeah, I'm really not surprised that Stacey Abrams is working with the Podestas. She's grimy just like them. Remember when she lost the Georgia election? The whole time she was running around talking about the election was stolen, and now that the Democrats stole the election from Trump. She trying to say, oh, the election was fair. There's no way it could be stolen, and she's a sick individual. Sick individual. Homeless man arrested for assaulting Gavin Newsom. We read that. Washington Post publishes hit piece filled with lies about Marine veteran and OAN reporter Christina Bobb. Shot video. Shooter chases family down Bronx sidewalk. Opens fire on father inches away from children. Wow, I'm not even gonna click on that. That's terrible, man. It used to be a code. No women and children. You know, if you're gonna commit something like that, you don't gun them down in front of children. I mean, it used to be rules to the game, and now they just throw the rules out the window. Stacey Abrams texting Arizonians to pass the S1 legislation that gives Democrats more ability to cheat. Yeah, they basically what they do when they went around in the states and they changed a lot of the states' election rules and laws, and they actually in some cases when they stole votes from Trump, they actually didn't change it, and they went even before court, and the court threw it out and stuff like that. But now what they did in these swing states, they want to make national now, which is totally illegal. The federal government is not supposed to be meddling in any type of state elections. It's supposed to be ran from the state, not by the federal government. Facebook decides that it will allow some satire, but it must be layered, complex, or subversive. Wow, I don't know anything about that. I didn't even know you're not allowed to have satire on Facebook because I'm not on Facebook. I did not know that. Quote, that's a private matter. Biden looks like a deer in the headlights when asked about Catholic bishops taking steps to prevent him from receiving communion. Wow, that's big right there. Joe Biden looked spooked on Friday when a reporter asked him about Catholic bishops taking steps to prevent him from receiving Holy Communion. U.S. Catholic bishops have approved the drafting of a teaching document that will prevent Joe Biden and other pro-abortion politicians from receiving communion for their practice. Yeah, it's one of the founding. I'm not a Catholic. I am a Christian, but I'm not a Catholic. But one of the founding principles of Catholics is anti-abortion. So I don't know how Biden can consider himself a Catholic when he's pro-abortion. The vote was overwhelmingly in favor of the move, with 168 in favor and 55 against. It was announced on Friday at the end of the 3-day meeting of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops following the vote on Thursday. Blood drained from Joe Biden's face on Friday when a reporter asked him about his impending doom during the pressure. Because we all know Joe Biden is old. He's shuffling and buffling around. He's got dementia. Who knows how much life he has left. And now he's not going to be receiving communion. So he knows where he's going at the end of his life. But let's play this video and see what it's about.
What the Catholic bishops have done, are you concerned about this rift within the Catholic Church, and are you concerned about this action?
Say again?
The Catholic bishops are moving on this resolution that would prevent you and others who've supported abortion from receiving communion. Are you concerned about the rift in the Catholic Church, and how do you feel personally about that?
That's a private matter, and I don't think that's going to happen. Thank you.
What the Catholic bishops have done...
it's going to happen. They already voted on it, brother. No more communion for you. But I'm sure he'll be able to find some leftist bishop that'll give him his communion. All right, let's see. Where are we? That's it for the Gateway Pundit. Let's go over here to Zero Hedge on the left. Biden orders major reversal of Trump's missile battery buildup in the Gulf. Like I said, Biden is rolling back every single one of Trump policies, even the ones that work. I don't really know much about the missile battery buildup, so I can't really speak on it if it's a good thing or bad thing. But I will say again that Biden is rolling back all of Trump's policies. General Milley says China has ways to go before it can take Taiwan. What does that even mean? No, they don't. You see the military buildup and Milley. I do not like Milley. Milley is horrible, man. Milley is horrible. He pretends he's not political when he everything but he is political. Despite the constant hype around a potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan, Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley believes China has a ways to go when it comes to developing the capability to take the island. They already proven they can take the island. Quote, my assessment in terms of capability, I think China has a ways to go to develop the actual, no kidding capability to conduct military operations to seize through military means the entire island of Taiwan. If they wanted to do that, Milley told the Senate Appropriations Committee, all they got to do is send an EMP and knock out everything and then rebuild everything. That's all they got to do. It doesn't take much to take an island. What is he talking about? Milley is an idiot. Milley said he doesn't believe China will take Taiwan anytime soon. I think there's little intent right now or motivation to do it militarily. Has he not been reading the China Morning Post and what they've been saying about Taiwan and the threats? What is he talking about? I must read more of China news than he do. There's no reason to do it militarily, and they know that. So I think the probability is probably low in the immediate near-term future, he said. No, I think it's pretty high, and I think they're going to take advantage of Biden being in office because he's weak, and China owns him. And his son Hunter Biden, they got dirt on both of them that they don't want to get released. Because I think now is the best time for China to strike Taiwan because they know Biden's not going to do anything about it. Also on Thursday, a State Department official touted the U.S. and Taiwan's porcupine strategy. The idea of porcupine approach is to continue arming Taiwan, so the cost for China to take the island by force becomes greater and greater. The strategy bodes well for the U.S. arms industry. Of course, they'll make more money. The military-industrial complex will get their fix. Taiwan recently signed contracts worth $1.75 billion for Lockheed Martin, of course. I wish I owned stock in them, but I refuse to buy stock from the military-industrial complex. $1.75 billion for Lockheed Martin made rocket systems and Boeing made missile systems. The weapon sales was approved by the Trump administration last October. The government of Taiwan and U.S. weapons maker fund many of the same think tanks in Washington. For example, the Hawkins Center for the American Security, CNAS, think tank gets funding from most of the U.S. major arms makers, as well as the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office, Taiwan's de facto embassy in Washington. The Pentagon recently finished a 100-day task force review of China's policy that was led by Eli Ratner, a former CNAS employee who was appointed as special advisor to Security and Defense Lloyd Austin, the former Raytheon employee. While most of the task force recommendations were kept classified, it's safe to assume that it's called to continue the tradition of arming Taiwan. Of course, they're going to arm Taiwan. It's big money in weapons.
I don't know that one.
Oh, that was my echo. Echo cancel. It's big money in that. So of course they're gonna be pushing for this. Milley either is an idiot or he's lying about what's going on. One of the two. He's probably both. He's an idiot and he's lying. More Zero Hedge. Is there a silver lining in the PC woke snowflake cancel culture? Oh, let's see what this. I'm all about finding out what's going on with this stupid cancel culture. Optimists are always looking for silver lining in dark clouds. Can any such thing be discerned in our present cultural revolution? A politically correct virtue signaling wokeism. First, let us consider, briefly mention the clouds. California is reducing mathematics studies because this discipline has desperate impact on subcategories of student population. Women are now welcome in the U.S. military, even though they cannot pass the previously established test of physical ability. Due to desperate results, these exams have been modified. That is weakened. So, I mean, these standards, though, it was created for a reason. You have to be able, if your man goes down, I was in the Air Force. If your wingman goes down, you got to be able to pick him up and drag him off. If it's a man and he's 200 pounds and you got a female that's 100 pounds, she has to be able to pull this guy and drag him out of harm's way. If you can't pass, and that's what these physical fitness tests was designed for, to show that you're able to do that. And if you can't pass these tests, that means you can't do that. I mean, these tests is a lot easier than actually being out in the field or being out in war. So if you can't even pass these fitness tests, how are you going to be able, when you go to war, do these things? But because of political correctness, they lowered the standards, which is ridiculous. Asian Americans must deal with the strict upper limit in admissions to such prestigious universities as Harvard, Yale, Princeton, no matter their abilities, predict great success than other ethnic groups. I think that's wrong. When you come up with a standard, you know what I'm saying, and you got people that work hard, that study, just because they're Asian and they work hard and they study and they do good and should be admitted, you're not gonna admit them because they're Asian and you got too many Asian people already there. That's racism, and no one is calling that out. I don't get it. No longer is admission to prestigious centers of learning such as the Bronx High School of Science based on examinations. Disparate impact once again raises its ugly head. I mean, it's political correctness is destroying this country. Where can any silver lining be perceived in these cultural morass, of which the above instances are the merest tip of the proverbial iceberg? Do not these phenomena not weaken our country in all sorts of ways, physically, psychologically, emotionally, intellectually? Yeah. Do they not set up all sorts of divisiveness where a certain gender and several ethnic groups feel they are being victimized in a myriad of ways? Yeah. Yes, that is precisely the point. When looked at from one perspective, these indeed look like dire consequences. But when seen from a different viewpoint, they can appear to be benevolent. Do you know these optical illusions were from one perspective? A drawing looks like one thing, from another, something entirely different. Something of the same sort is occurring in this case, okay? Pray tell then, from what viewpoint would the weakening of our country possibly look like a good idea? That's what I'm wondering. I don't understand how any of this could be a good thing. It is from the point of view of foreign policy that It is from the point of view of foreign policy that is from where? Foreign policy? Okay, let's see what they say. Now, to be sure, the perspective of many people, warmongers, and such U.S. intervention in national affairs have been an unmitigated success, but in the viewpoints of others, American aventurism all around the third rock from the sun has been the dissenter. I don't really understand what they're talking about. They're talking about war. Let's see. Consider the following. The U.S. lost the war in Vietnam, an area where it has no business occupied in the first place. Vast numbers of innocent perished as a result. True. The U.S. has spent almost 20 years in Afghanistan and will now suffer an enormous departure again. Another loss with great loss of life. Okay, true. The U.S. has some 800 military bases in roughly 130 countries. There are only a few more than 200 in the entire world. Wow. So this comprises a majority. Thus, whenever any difficulties arise anywhere globally, the U.S. is involved willy-nilly. Yeah. The U.S. has supported military dictatorships the world over, worsening conditions for millions of innocent people. Examples are too numerous to mention. That's true. The U.S. has intervened in the international affairs of numerous nations. Again, too many to mention. Much to the deterioration of these states. Okay. Or these client states. Okay. If you think that the U.S. has been a force for good, then there's no silver lining in its weakening, intellectually, militarily, economically. However, if it is your opinion that the experience has been a disaster for this country and the numerous other nations, then its waning abilities in these areas due to our own cultural revolution indeed constitutes a silver lining. I don't agree with that, though. I don't agree with that because our country, just because, so they're saying that because of the wokeism that is destroying every inch of our society in this country, destroying every inch of it. Because it's doing that, it's gonna stop war. Wokeness is gonna stop war. I disagree with that. I think the military-industrial complex is untouched. That's why the Federal Reserve is getting into this political correctness and wokeism, and the military is getting into wokeism. You see the advertisements, what's going on with the military. They're into this wokeism stuff. So I don't think any of that's going to change at all because all they're going to do is claim woke. Oh, it's woke to drop bombs on this country. Oh, it's woke to take out Assad in Syria. Oh, it's woke. So that's all they got to do is claim it's woke. And the loony left is going to become the war party, and they're going to be all for it. Just like they were during the fake Syrian gas thing. They were like, oh, we got to do something about that. And the whole thing turned out to be staged. Let's see. Biden wants nuke deal done before Iran's new president takes office. IRS denies tax exemption to Texas religious group because prayer, Bible reading boosts the Republican Party. What? I'm not even going to click on that, though. I'm going to let that one go because it's going to get me amped up. I'm not trying to be amped up today. Family of top Biden officials find jobs across administration despite no nepotism pledge. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Questions about the FBI role in January 6th are mocked because the FBI shapes liberal corporate media. Beijing ways scrapping all childbirth restrictions by 2025 to fend off Japanification. So you'd be able to have however many babies you want in China. But that's because I've been saying for years, the world is not overpopulated. We actually have a very large elder population, and they're growing and getting older, and there's more of them. The baby boomers and stuff like that are getting older, and that's why it's hard to find people in certain jobs and stuff like that because we really don't have the people. You look at Japan, and Japan has a elder population also. That's why I don't understand what they mean by the Japanification, because Japan has they have low birth rates over there too, and countries like Russia paying people to have babies. So for years they've been saying the world is overpopulated. The world is overpopulated. It's all been false, just like I've been saying from the beginning. That's why China is allowing them to have more babies now, because they need the influx of new people. Just the news: Biden civil rights nominee pressed colleges to adopt policy often struck down in court. Yeah, so the court says no. So they go straight to the colleges and try to get them to adopt it. California Governor Gavin Newsom assaulted alleged assailant charge. We read that already. Smith and Wesson announced its highest quality ever on record, first $1 billion year in history. Wow. North Carolina governor vetoes gun rights expansion in religious places. Newsom declares emergency over heat. Power rationing possible. Well, the power ration is because they're shutting down all the power plants anyway. So they don't have the power plants to keep up with the demand. If you wasn't shutting down these power plants over there in California, you would have the power plants, you would have the electricity that you need instead of having a ration. And that's what the loony left has done over there. Idiots. They get what they deserve. You voted for this stuff. GOP rep, Juneteenth National Independence Day, a wholly inappropriate name for a federal holiday. Who cares, man? Of all this stuff that's going on. See, this is what I'm talking about the Republicans. All this stuff that's going on. You worried about Juneteenth. Our society is crumbling. Infrastructure is crumbling. And you are worried about a freaking holiday. Be for real, man. Be for real. That's why I try to tell people, forget the Republicans, forget the Democrats. We need to start off with something else because they ain't not cutting it. This dude is worried about a freaking holiday with all the other stuff that's going on. We got a freaking president that has dementia, and you're worried about Juneteenth. Sickening. The Daily Mail. Porsche will only offer Golden State drivers new 911 GT3 without automatic gearbox manual is too noisy. New U.S. Post Office stamps honor discoveries made by NASA. Most Americans return to pre-pandemic life with 85% going at stores and 75% eating out. North Carolina councilman calls for people to be fined for giving food directly to the homeless. What? I'm just going to read the bullet points on this one. So they don't want you to help the homeless. He's sick. Tariq Bakari, who serves as a representative for Charlotte's 6th district, floated the idea during a council business meeting. He said money and resources are best used when they are donated to charities as opposed to homeless people directly. Bakari's idea received significant pushback from other council members and people in the local community. Yeah, it's the dumbest idea ever. A recent survey from Mecklenburg County, in which the city of Charlotte is located, estimate of roughly 3,000 people are homeless. What's wrong with just giving them the freaking food, man? It's other ways of getting them people out of them encampments. And the major thing that they need is mental health. They need mental health help. Let's see. Trump officially backed Republican Lisa Murkowski primary challenger. Full detail of Scotland Yard chief interview with Prince Charles over wild crash claims. Oh, I didn't know he was in a crash. Probably was drunk. Trump says Biden is trying to brainwash our children with critical race theory. And I agree. Let's see what Trump is saying about this. I'm just going to do the bullet points. Trump wrote a wide range op-ed for Real Clear Politics published on Friday. The former president called critical race theory ridiculous left-wing dogma, which it is, and it's not even based in real history. He added that the theory is psychological abuse on kids and is a program for national suicide. Wow, and I agree with that because it's based, especially with the black youth. You are teaching black kids that they are victims, and there's nothing they can do about it. And you should wait. You know what I'm saying? You should go out here and protest. No, there's nothing wrong with teaching history. I went to a Saturday school where I was taught black history all the way up until middle school, and I loved it. That's why I love history to this day, and that's why I do all the research and studying I do now is because of this program. So I think it should be more programs like that. They never told me I was a victim. They never told me that I got to worry about police. It's about enrichment. It's about empowerment, not about you're a victim and beating kids down with this false history. This effort has progressed from telling children that their history is evil to telling Americans they are evil, he wrote. And that's true. They're saying that every white person is racist, no matter what. No matter what, because of the skin color, you're racist. Trump slammed the Department of Education for churning out radicalized teachers and urged states to set up 1776 commissions. I don't know if it's actually, well, yeah. I don't know if it's actually the Department of Education. It's the liberal schools that they're going to that's teaching this to these teachers, and the teachers are going out in turn teaching the students. The op-ed was published a day after Biden signed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. I don't think there's any significance in that. Let's see. Weird. Bodyguard survivor of Princess Diana crash has rebuilt his life. First minute-by-minute testimony of Dr. Fight to save Princess Diana. Space Perspective test flies its balloon 20 miles over Florida that will take humans to orbit. On a balloon? Nah. I ain't going to orbit in no balloon. Alright. Let's check out the Daily Caller here on the left. Greg Gutfield defends the good people of CNN who don't deserve to be fronted by lying clowns and public masturbators. Yeah, I can't believe they brought that guy back, man. It's sick. Beer survey finds the perception that people are drinking more is false since pandemic. Charles Payne, Juneteenth reminds me of my mother. She raised us to seize the future and not be chained to the past. Analysis. What does it take to actually get fired by CNN? Well, I know where they're going with this already because they fired Rick Santorum, and he didn't do a tenth of what Tubin did. He wasn't on video masturbating in front of people. New footage shows Capitol rioters threatening attacking police officers on January 6th. California launches digital pass for residents to prove they've gotten vaccine. Wow, let's see what this is about. You gotta have a card now or something. Oh, a digital pass. Mark of the Beast, maybe on your phone. Let's see. California health officials on Friday introduced a system for residents to obtain a digital copy of their COVID-19 vaccine record, which can be used at a business or events that require individuals to provide proof of vaccination. You won't be able to buy or sell. And they attacked Marjorie Taylor for saying that it's a gateway, basically. It's how it started off in Nazi Germany, where you had to show your papers to buy and sell. And then she took heat from it and apologized, which I wouldn't have never apologized, because that's what they did. They had to show their papers. And that's what they're doing here in California. They have to show their papers. To access their information, residents can enter into a state website their name, date of birth, and cell phone number or email address in order to receive a QR code and digital copy of their vaccine record. Officials said the digital pass includes the same information as the paper card issued by the Centers for Disease Control, the Associated Press reported. This is crazy, man. That's the world we live in now. Erica Pan, the state's epidemiologist, told reporters during a press conference Friday afternoon that proof of vaccination may already be required in some circumstances, such as travel. Pan added that the state health officials believe there will be a demand for the digital pass and it will provide an easier way for residents to prove their vaccination status. But what if you already had COVID like me, and you don't need? They say you don't really need to take the vaccine if you already had it. So what do you do in those instances? Quote, the odds are someone is going to misplace their paper CDC card, and a digital COVID-19 record provides a convenient backup, she told reporters. California lifted most of COVID-19 restrictions Tuesday, one of the last states to do so, according to the New York Times. Vaccinated people are no longer required to wear masks at most indoor locations, though everyone must continue to wear masks in places such as mass transit and health facilities. Businesses can provide whether to make mask wearing optional, require everyone to wear them, or use a vaccine verification system, AP reported. California health officials stressed Friday the new digital pass is not mandatory and refrain from using the word passport. That's what it is, likely due to the political charged nature. Around 24 states have banned state-mandated vaccine passports, and some states, including Texas and Florida, have banned businesses from requiring vaccines. Amen. Good for Texas and Florida. New York announced in March the state will offer an electronic vaccine verification through an app called the Excelsior Pass. The app, which is also free and voluntary, allows users to provide proof of vaccination using their phones. Lucy Dunn, president of Orange County Business Council, told AP that many businesses in California want an option for vaccine verification so they can take measures to keep workers and customers safe. She noted that paper records have easily been falsified in the past. Quote, it helps keep us informed as to who is vaccinated or not, Dunn said. It's voluntary, personal, protected, and as easy as adding it to your smartphone's digital wallet like an airline boarding pass. Now, how is it personal and protected if you have to present it, though? That's against HIPAA laws. It's no one's business if you've been vaccinated or not. All right. What was that? Daily Caller, right? Let's see. We are Charles Payne, Juneteenth. I read that one. Analysis. What does it take to actually get fired from CNN? We did that one. So we're done with Daily Caller. Let's see. The Hill. Hollywood goes all in for the People Act. Hollywood lining up for behind the sweeping Democratic-backed election reform bill, with some of the country's biggest stars using their platform. See, these people are so uninformed, man. And why do they think they got so much sway? If anybody listen to these Hollywood people in their bubble, they're idiots. They don't know anything about anything. Why would I hope no one's listening to these idiots. Poll, 30% of GOP voters believe Trump will likely be reinstated this year. I never met anyone that believes that, so I don't know where this survey come from. Black Secret Service agent told Trump it was offensive to hold a rally in Tulsa on Juneteenth. Whatever. Ted Cruz says critical race theory is as racist as Klansmen in white sheets. I agree with that. Monica Lewinsky responds to viral HBO intern mistake. It gets better. Lou calls Catholic bishops hypocrites for move to deny Biden communion. Whatever, man. Biden warns of potentially deadlier Delta variant, urges public to get vaccine. They still pushing vaccines. Because, the vaccine hasn't been proven that the vaccine works against the variant, though. I haven't seen any studies to show that it works against the variant. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to do some research into that, so don't quote me on it. I'll look into some studies on the variants and the vaccine. Washington Examiner. Biden says it's unlikely Delta variant will cause another COVID-19 lockdown. Yeah, right. I can see him doing it again. Biden, especially Whitmore out there. She loves the power. Biden plucks ex-House Democrat for agriculture post. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse admits Democrats are trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices. Of course they are. They use intimidation tactics. Matthew McConaughey would be formidable Texas governor candidate. Ted Cruz. Biden returns from first. Ted Cruz said that Biden returns from his first trip overseas. He probably got to sleep the week off. The Ending Platform Monopolies Act target big tech. And we went over that already. Sweeping Democratic elections and voting reform bill headed for defeat. Good. It needs to be defeated. Pelosi to reopen Speaker lobby after nearly a year. Over 7,000 affidavits delivered to Michigan lawmakers claim election fraud. Sununu urged to veto abortion ban provision in New Hampshire budget. Wyoming governor applauds judge ruling against Biden oil and gas lease moratorium. Sorry, struggling with that word. Florida defends contribution cap on committees proposing constitutional amendments. Overseas welfare manufacturer expands in southwest Pennsylvania. Illinois liquor tax, 7th highest in the nation. Darn. Edwards okays trading higher unemployment benefits for ending federal assistance. Tennessee tax revenue eclipsed $1.5 billion in May. Daily Wire, one of my favorite websites. Singer Macy Gray says American flag should be abolished. Oh, wow, man. Why do people hate the American flag so much? It represents freedom. It's nothing racist about the American flag. Nothing racist about it. Michael Avenatti deserves very substantial prison sentence, prosecutor says. Hong Kong newspaper prints 5-time daily copies after police raid. That's awesome. Don Lemon demeans critical race theory opponent. Stop making it about you. What? See, these people don't see. These talking heads haven't read it probably. They probably don't even know what it says in there. I've read what the stuff they're pushing in that. He don't know what he's talking about. Counting down to top moments in U.S. Open history. I've never had a positive male influence in my life besides Rush Limbaugh. Final episode of Rush Limbaugh show airs. A mean-spirited human. Singer calls Chrissy Teigen twice, shoving her at the Grammys, yanking phone from assistant's hand. Wow. More and more stuff is coming out about this evil witch Chrissy Teigen. I told y'all about her years ago with the way she had her children dressed and stuff online and having them. I mean, I was like, something about this lady is not right. And then I started looking into her more and more, and I saw the evil stuff she would be posting and stuff, and I was like, yo, this lady is evil. She's a horrible, horrible person. And everybody was like, thought I was just hating or something. Like, yo, that's why I don't understand with John Legend, who I think was, he means well. He's just not informed. I always thought he means well and was a good person. How could he be with this evil witch? How could someone nice like John Legend be with an evil witch like her? I just don't get it. The Epic Times. Man dresses as Spider-Man to help the less fortunate. That's awesome. Georgia investigator notes detailed massive issue during 2020 election. Boeing newest version of the 737 MAX makes first flight. Let's see. More than an exodus, dropping birth rates threaten California's future. Again, I've been saying for years that the world is not overpopulated because we don't have enough. Not enough babies being born to replenish the people that are dying. I remember I bring up time and time again. How where was I going? I bring up time and time again how the world isn't overpopulated. We need I can't remember the point I was gonna make with that. So let's just go. Sorry, let's just go with the article. If it pops back in my head, I'll bring it back up. As California's population drops due to the mass exodus of residents escaping high taxes, exorbitant housing costs, and increasing homelessness, there's another factor that has been quietly contributing to the downturn: the decline in birth rate. I remember what I was going to say now. I remember in New York City, it was actually more black up one year. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. But it was in New York, more black babies was being aborted than was being born that year. I couldn't believe that number. Probably longer than that. Probably about 5 years ago when that statistic came out, and I could not believe it. they are killing our black babies on purpose. But data shows that while the Golden State's population continues to grow old, young adults are having fewer kids. John Morlock, a former state senator and Orange County supervisor, told the Epoch Times that the long-term impact of the state's drop in birth rate is hard to predict because the current administration's border policy has made immigration numbers unclear. But if immigration is minimalized and there is zero growth, Morlock said the old rule in business would apply. If you're not growing, you're dying. That's true. The state's birth rate compared to the death rate has been slowing since the 1990s, according to the Public Policy Institute. Between 1991 and 2010, it hovered just above 280,000 annually. But since 2005, the rate has dropped from 247,000 to 181,000. Wow. Wow. In 2019, California had 11.3 births for every 1,000 residents, according to the report, the state's lowest rate in over a century. California is dying. And while some researchers assume there will be another baby boom during the pandemic, the stay-at-home orders apparently have had the opposite effect, resulting in historic lows for births across the county. There was the pandemic itself, but there was also, of course, the economic situation. People are losing their jobs, and if people losing their jobs, they're stressed, so they're not going to have sex, of course, and that means they're not going to be able to produce any babies. Dr. Brady Hamilton, statistician and demographer at the Centers for Disease and Prevention, CDC, National Center for Health Statistics, NCHS, told the Epoch Times, quote, all that speaks to uncertainty and certainly a factor that people would consider in terms of having a child in their economic situation. That's what I was saying. And it's stressful too. It's hard to have sex if you're stressed out all the time. You know, me being a therapist, I deal with people like that all the time. Part of the trend. Hamilton and other researchers at the CDC released provisional and preliminary data for birth rates in the United States in 2020 based on nearly all of the birth records received and processed by the NCHS last year. For women aged 20 to 24, the provisional birth rate last year was 62.8 births per 1,000 women, down 6% from 2019. The rates were lower in all major age and racial groups as well. We're heading into something that's it could be bad if people don't start having babies. It could be really bad. You know, it could be like what's going on in Japan. But I'm gonna have to go back. I haven't looked at demographics in Japan for a while. Maybe they are having more kids again. But at last glance, which was probably a couple years ago, Japan birth rate was super duper low, and the elder population was growing, just like what's going on in China. And I remember the same thing was happening in Russia, and Russia was started paying people to have babies. Hamilton said that while the data gives some insight into the situation, it doesn't provide a clear picture without further investigation. Quote, that has to wait for the surveys to sort of tease that out, Hamilton said. But we can do quite a lot on our own part, looking at the impact that this downturn has had across the country by the various groups to get a better sense of how it affects the births. And California, the country's most populous state, the birth rate dropped over 10% in December 2020, roughly 9 months after the state of the pandemic, compared to the same months earlier, a year earlier. The state logged just short of 33,000 for the month, more than 3,700 fewer than a year earlier. According to Hamilton's research, the total fertility rate among women nationally also dropped in 2020, down 4%. Like the movie Son of Man. I to be honest, I haven't seen the movie, but I know the premise. But that's what it sounds like we're heading to, and we don't know the side effects of the jab. You know, we don't know the side effects of the coronavirus. What that do with childbearing women. You know, it's a lot of unknowns. It can be scary. Though birth rates vary among married and unmarried couples, marriage licenses also are experiencing record lows, according to the California Department of Finance. Based on data as reported by select California counties, there has been an overall decrease in marriage licenses issued compared to the previous years, beginning with March 2020. The CDC told the Epoch Times in an email statement, and hypothesizing that divorces are going to go up too. When it comes to babies born in and outside of marriages, the CDC will look deeper into it. Into their next countrywide report, expected to be released this month. I'm definitely gonna read that report when it comes out. Quote: "We don't typically have it in the provisional report," said Hamilton. "Our report does have births to married and unmarried mothers. We have that, but it does not typically in provisional report. But that's another dimension that we'll look at." Yeah, it's pretty big, pretty long article. Let's see what else we got going on. That was from where was that from again? Let's see. Well, that was the Daily Wire. Where are we, Don Lemon? Counting down the top moments of U.S. history. Let's see. No, we're on the Epoch Times. That's where we are. Let's see. Georgia investigator notes detailed massive issues during 2020 election. We read that one. Boeing newest version of the 737 MAX makes first flight. NTD Evening News full broadcast. Border officials have found more than 200 dead migrants since October and rescued thousands. Oh man, that's crazy. Bonta launches human trafficking sexual predator apprehension teams. All right, let's look at Breitbart. Gavin Newsom assaulted by we read that one earlier. Conservative hold Western conservatives summit. Exclusive Angel families. Biden opens backdoor amnesty for illegal aliens while American victims get no relief. That's right. He shut down the division that they had where people that lost loved ones to illegal immigrants. He shut that investigative branch down. Exclusive Georgia Republican David Bell Isle formally files wide request for election records from Brad Raffensperger. Exclusive most dangerous governor in America. Lawmakers demand answers on Illinois governor's prison review board release scheme. Endangered state. Well, all the murders that's going on in Chicago, why would Illinois do this? Rasmussen, 61% of voters reject Rep. Ilhan Omar's anti-American rhetoric. Half support censure. I mean, if you hate America so much, why do you live in it? That's my question to her. I don't hate our country. I hate our government. Our government is corrupt and despicable. But I love the country. She hate our country. Big distinction. Joe Biden warns of potentially deadlier Delta variant. Let's see. Bongino report here on the right. Trump endorses challenger. We read that one already. Catholic bishops. European Union recommends member nations lift ban on non-essential travel from U.S. Trump, Biden admin indoctrinated school children with toxic anti-Americanism. McConnell says Manchin election reform proposal also rotten to the core. Big tech outsources censorship through dishonest fact checkers. I mean, we know the fact checkers are horrible. The fact checkers are a joke. Final report for Maricopa County audit expected to be released in August. I can't wait to read that. I don't think anything's going to happen, though. It's too late. Don Lemon, privilege drives opposition to critical race theory. It interrupts whites' pleasure. But I'm black, and I'm an opponent to critical race theory. There's a bunch of black leaders that are in opposition to critical race theory. So what does that make us, Don Lemonhead? Michigan governor pulls most CCP virus restrictions. Too little, too late. Lawsuit. Ex-California Secretary of State conspired with Twitter to silence critics, secure his path to the Senate. Wow. Iran sham presidential election draws little interest from voters. Breaking. Catholic bishops, we went over that already. So it begins. Lori Lightfoot declares racism a public health. We went over that yesterday. Let's see. WorldNet Daily. Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. The chickens come home to roost. What do we do when it appears later that we like the 2020 election was thrown after all, big time? Yeah. I mean, I do believe Democrats stole some of these elections, but it's nothing. I don't think there's anything can be done about it now. It should have been done. It should have been something done about it. We knew this was coming before the election. So my question is, why didn't Trump do something about it before the election? It's too late now. Biden's already in office. Even if they stole the election, it's too late. There's nothing you can do about it now, unfortunately. 2024, that's all you can do. Fathers, who needs them? What? Wow. Wow. Oh, it's progressive saying that, of course. I mean, they want to destroy the nuclear family. We knew that ever since Black Lives Matter put that on their website. They want to destroy the nuclear family. That's why so many single moms out there, and they think they can do it on their own, and they end up. It's. I'm not gonna get into it because I could go all day on that. I'm gonna leave it alone. We'll leave it alone for now. Who are the real binary thinkers? The intolerant left. Why the federal government has failed so spectacularly. The federal government been failing. That's nothing new. Harris, looking for root causes in all the wrong places. Yeah. Carry your ass to the border, Harris. International police campaign closes down thousands of fake online pharmacies. Oregon lawmakers reject protections for babies who survive abortion. Wow. So Virginia governor said it will make the babies comfortable before we, and I'm adding in before we murder them. If they survived the abortion, why can't you just give them to a hospital and put them up for adoption? What's so hard about that? A lot of families is looking to adopt. The Free Beacon. Biden environmental appointee faces conflict of interest, scrutiny on the Hill. Biden admin turns national agencies against online misinformation. Wow. 3 cheers. I mean, let's go into the misinformation thing because we remember not too long ago the whole theory about the virus being created in a lab was considered misinformation, So, what are you gonna have, like a 1984 truth? What did they call what's the name of truth? I forgot what they were called. Something of truth. I'm gonna have to go back and read 1984. It's been a few years since I read it. I'll pull it out of my bookshelf. Federal law enforcement and various intelligence agencies are bolstering programs to police online speech and purported misinformation, according to a report released by President Joe Biden's National Security Council. This scares me. The report, titled "The National Strategy for Countering Domestic Terrorism," details myriad initiatives and strategies to help counter the threat posed by domestic terrorism today. Chief among the concerns for White House national security officials is the proliferation of the internet-based communications platform. In response, the federal government, led by the Department of Homeland Security, is funding and implementing or planning evidence-based digital programming aimed at enhancing media literacy and critical thinking skills. That's a false. They don't want you to be a critical thinker at all, because if anyone start using their critical thinking skill, they would know that the Homeland Security is just another political branch that's there to take out any type of dissent, political dissent, I should say. But let's see, literacy and critical thinking skills of the public. The federal program, the NSC alleges, will serve as a mechanism for strengthening American resilience to disinformation and misinformation. Wow, this scares me. Ministry of Truth. It popped in my head. They want to make a Ministry of Truth like in 1984. Quote, we will pressure innovative ways to foster and cultivate digital literacy and related programs, including educational material and interactive online resources, such as skills-enhancing online games, the reports read. This can prove useful components to forging the resilience that may help to stem domestic terrorism recruitment and mobilization of violence. That's not what they're really going after. They want to go after people that's not following the party lines. And it was another report that came out earlier that's basically saying, which I already knew, that most of the domestic terrorism stuff, the FBI is always involved in starting this stuff. That's what COINTELPRO was. Although vague on which groups of individuals constitute a threat, the report delves into a number of killings and acts of vandalism by white supremacists, while glancing over prominent examples of anti-police and politically motivated domestic attacks. Black nationalist Micah Xavier Johnson, a man who murdered 5 Dallas police officers in 2016, is described simply as an anti-authority violent extremist. Wow! Simply no motive is given for the left-wing activist who shot Steve Scalise, of course, and attempted murder of other Republican congressmen. It's only if you're far right, you're an extremist, you're a terrorist. But if you far left and you committing heinous acts, they don't label you anything. Enhancing faith in American democracy demands accelerating work to contend with an information environment that challenges healthy democratic discourse. The report reads, quote, we will work towards finding ways to counter the influence and impact the dangerous conspiracy theories that can provide a gateway to terrorist violence. No, the conspiracy theories that you guys are putting out is what provide a gateway to terrorist violence. What do you think? Why do you think we got all this stuff going on over there in Minnesota, all the protesting, burning down businesses that done nothing to these people? It's because of the propaganda that you and your media put out there. According to the report, the Biden administration endorses the Christchurch Call, a series of sweeping regulations to eliminate terrorist and violent extremist content online. Governments that endorse the Christchurch Call support media industry standards to ensure that reporting on terrorist attacks does not amplify terrorist and violent extremists. I'm not going to read any more of that because I can go all day on that. I think that's all we're going to go over today. I might come back on a little later and read a little bit more news. Because I still have a few more over here on the bottom half. Free Beacon, and I haven't even looked at Fox News or anything like that, New York Post, but maybe we'll check that out a little later. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that like button, please, and share this out on various platforms. And if you'd like to donate, you can go to you can donate through PayPal, DEMOCREPUBLIX, or through the Cash App, JPsych, or you can go to DEMOCREPUBLIX.com and click the donate button and donate that way. And check out DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Until next time.